This is a video you keep waiting for. That's the video I finally go through UniFi from the very basic. So I know a lot of you was asking for this. I don't know if you guys already saw the video about the unboxing and setup of the new UniFi Cloud Gateway Fiber. So anyway, we're gonna go from scratch today and go through the setting to set up in UniFi. So as you can see here, I have two sites, one with the UGC fiber, one with the Dream Machine Pro Max. You can see we have different options, and this one is quite good, which is basically monitoring your internet connection. So you can see there on both sides, there is kind of some uptime issue. So 99.6%, for example, you can see there by ISP, but both using free, which is a local ISP in France now. You can see that at the beginning, like 20 days ago, there was some packet loss issue and latency issue. But then since it got better, so it's actually a very good way to monitorize everything. And you can see the uptime here. So whatever you have a disconnection, it will show here. On this side, now I have the Dream Machine Pro Max and one AC mesh for access point. If I go on all the sites, I can see the UGC fiber and the Dream Machine. So I have all the device I own. I can select a special site. So if I go home, I actually have another site. We do have an API, but we're not going to go through on this video. It's outside the scope. Anyway, you can see there the Dream Machine Pro. You can go on the setting there. So that's the controller setting for the EGM Pro. You see this protect and network. So protect is for add camera if you want to manage camera on this network. It's pretty good. We might do a video on this later. This one is for backup, so I would recommend leave that on, and you can do a manual backup here if you wish, and download and restore. I do not have hard drive on this one. I actually might connect to my own site in my house there, which is on the UGC. And I have a NVMe there of I think 2 or 4 terabytes, 2 terabytes actually. So you see all the data. So at the moment it's barely using anything. And then if you go inside the console settings, let's go back on the Dream Machine Pro Max. You see you have a shadow gateway option. So basically, if you have two UDM Pro Max, you can set one for, well, it's basically a kind of failover. So if one goes down, you use the other one, basically. And there is very important is a support file. So they would always ask you to download a support file if you try to contact UniFi. So that area where you go in control panel, console, and support file download. It usually takes like 5 minutes. And if you want to enable SSH to connect, you can do that so here, and then you have other options like restart, shutdown, and everything. And here is where you control every kind of notification you might receive on your phone on by email. You can adjust as you want. So that's a network. Now we have IoT, secure, CCTV, connected secure, and the default LAN, which is VLAN 1. We're going to create a own virtual network. So that is a VLAN, which we're going to call, I suppose, maybe trust. That's going to be for trust device. And we could, if you want, select another gateway, but for this video, we're going to stay using the Dream Machine Pro Max. So meaning that the Dream Machine Pro Max is going to handle this network, and every traffic going to go through the Dream Machine Pro Max and back. And we're going to set up a subnet. So that is the host address. So basically the last octet is for the gateway IP. So we're going to set up a new subway. And if you don't know, you can just ask ChatGPT, for instance. We're going to use ARC 1918, which is basically private IP. So it's defined private IPv4 address runs that are reserved for internet network and not routable to the internet. So you can choose from an IP range starting from 10.0, 172, or 192. I suppose everybody know 192.168.0.0. Usually it used to be 192. That's 168.0 for LAN and that 1 for Wi-Fi, but it doesn't matter. You can set up whatever you want. So you can pick whatever. We're going to start with, let's say, IP range starting from 10. And if you're not sure about the subnet, you might just ask ChatGPT as well. So let's say we want a IP range starting at 10 dot. So we might just add ChatGPT for this. So, for instance, I'm gonna say, okay, give me a random subnet starting with 10 that for as many clients that you can. Which doesn't make sense, but ChatGPT understand me. So he actually gave me a quite decent answer, but let's say I want to start for a subnet which is like 100 clients. So give me a subnet for around 100 clients. So for 100 clients, the best is 25 and 26 subnets. So let's say we're gonna use this one. So we're gonna enter the subnet here. We're gonna use 24, which actually is like 255 clients, but whatever. And there, if you remember, the last octet is for the gateway. So we're gonna pick 10.99.0.1, but we might change that. So basically, that will be the local gateway address. So let's put 254. You can see there. So 10.99.0.254. And we're going to put a VLAN ID, so that would be an identifier for this VLAN. So we're going to put, for instance, 1099. You can actually put whatever VLAN ID you want as long as it's not used and is within the range. We can select isolate network. We would block connection towards other network by default, which would be nice to have it by default, but I'm pretty sure that's what the Firezone do now. So you have counter-filtering, which is basically can block some traffic from like added website and stuff like this, which is basically a mini DNS server on its own. And you have EGMP snooping, which I love to enable on my computer's network. So we're gonna end up this guy, and we have multicast DNS and DHCP wording. So basically, I'm gonna enter the IP of my gateway, which gonna alert me if somebody try to do a man-in-the-middle attack and try to put a fake router in between to intersect a traffic. There you are, other option. I always like to put my own DNS or actually pick some public DNS server. So I use Quad 9, which is 9.9.9.9. And the backup server for Quad 9, which is there. So basically, if it doesn't go through, it go to the backup server. And then I'm gonna use Cloudflare, which is 1.1.1.1, and Google, which is 8.8.8.8. So quite easy. 1.1.1.1 for Cloudflare, 8.8.8.8 for Google, and 9.9.9.9 for Quad 9. So quite a mouthful. So my name is not very relevant here. I'm just gonna enter trust. And you have other custom DHCP option, but that's outside the scope of support of this video. So we're gonna go there. We can see the network is there, 10.99.0.0, and then 10.99.0.254, if I remember, for the gateway. And we need to create a Wi-Fi now to assign this network to Wi-Fi. So let's call it trust and set up password. I use Proton Pass as usual. I'm gonna drop you a link if you want to join. You can use whatever password manager you want. You don't even need to use one. I actually had a conference last time with a guy at work who was doing password cracking for a job, and he was talking about the crappy password we use, and it's actually very interesting. I might do a video on that in a separate video. So on this network, we're going to use 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. So basically 2.4 is going way further away. 5 gigahertz is faster though, but not as far away. So basically the range is smaller but faster on 5 gig. We could, if you want, enable client device isolation. So as the name implies, it's going to block connection between device in between this Wi-Fi network. And then we have a bunch of different settings. I would usually enable fast remaining, which allows the device to change to different access points very easily and fast. We could, if you want, do Wi-Fi speed limits. So it's pretty straightforward. You can create a profile, and let's say we want to create a slow profile. So just gonna enter slow there. And let's say we want to limit to 100, which basically is not very slow. I don't know why you do it 100, but you got the idea. So we don't gonna do that now, but so you know how to do it. It's very straightforward. And other thing you could do, I suppose. Well, I forgot to say, by the way, hide the Wi-Fi name doesn't do anything for security, so don't bother with that unless it's for aesthetic reason, so you don't want to see Wi-Fi names or whatever. But I like as well to enable multicast enhancement. Multicast and broadcast control is not helpful there, and it's quite hard because you have to enter every MAC address. So we're not gonna enable there, but you can also limit to some MAC address to connect, and we're gonna select WPA2 and WPA3, which is not compatible with all devices, so be conscious of this. I think it's the iPhone 7 minimum, if I remember. But all the recent devices should be compatible, so that should be fine in my case. And then we can, if we want, set up a schedule. So let's say we want to turn off the Wi-Fi at nighttime, but I'm not going to do that. So we can see there we have 2.4 and 5 gigahertz for a new Wi-Fi, which have 0 client for now, which is normal. And we might want to assign some LAN clients as well, just to see. You can see I'm using 6 and 44 for the channel and 20 and 80 on channel wide. So the lower you go, the less interference you got, but you get less speed as well. But for IoT devices, I would recommend 20. And if I go to my home now, I have much better access points, so I can go up to 220 on the 6 gigahertz. And in this case, it's fine on the 6 gigahertz because they don't have that many devices these days using this. So I'm fine using 220, but you might go down if you have too many network around using 6 gigahertz. And you can set the transmission power as well. So that is nice. You can go from high to low or custom or auto. So that is handy. And for 2.4, I'm using 40 on channel wide, which is kind of strange, but well, I suppose it's fine. And if I go back to there, it's 20, as we said earlier. So we have a network, we have a Wi-Fi, but we might want to assign some of this VLAN on a Ethernet port. So for example, port 9A is for my ISP, so you can see 3 there. Again, 3 is the name of my ISP. And let's say we want to set up this VLAN on port 6 or on port 5. You can actually apply for 2 ports in the same time, but we're gonna go on port 5. So gonna call it trust. You don't need to rename it, but I think it makes much clearer after. So VLAN we set trust. So this is basically an untagged network, and every time you're gonna plug a device to this port, it's gonna straight to this new VLAN. And then you can choose underneath if you want to allow other VLAN. So if you enter VLAN settings with this computer on this connected to this port, you can access other VLAN, or you can block them, or you can set up a custom network. So you can, for example, select 1 or 2 VLAN or whatever your choice is. So I suppose for security reason, the best is to only have the VLAN you need. In my case, I'm just gonna leave it all, which is fine by default for me. So the client, they're only gonna see the main network, and unless it's split a different VLAN ID, it's gonna stay to this. You could create a tenant port profile, but we're not gonna go there today. Port isolation is quite handy, so it will block communication between other ports on this device. So it's actually quite good for security, but we're not going to use it today either. So I can apply change, and it usually take a few seconds as well to apply, but I'm just going to show you where you can see that the IP address is still the old one. Is that because you need to renew the DHCP lease? So we can as well set a name there. So that's just for management, so we can know. So this one is a KVM, or actually a EP KVM. So just gonna name it EP KVM so I know, and you can add a URL or whatever node you want to. And you can also set a fixed IP address, which basically is the DHCP reservation. So it means that every time you're going to disconnect the device, it's going to try to connect to this IP and to set this IP for this device. So I usually do that for all my clients on my network because it makes it very easier to manage. And we can create custom security rule for this device, but we're going to go through after. We first going to have a look to the inside, so we can see we have IoT on this port, then you have trust and default, which is the LAN, so VLAN 1. And here we have a better overview of all the VLANs. So you can see on the port right there, which is port we connected the EPKV, I'm sorry. And this port is connected by default to the untagged network, which is the VLAN 1099. And you can see all the other VLAN and the native VLAN, which is in blue, and the block in gray. So we have a Wi-Fi, we have a network, we have all we want, but now we need to set up security. So we're going to set up a firewall rule. So we're going to create a new one for this example. So I already have trust, so I'm going to call this one trust plus plus. And I'm going to select my new VLAN. You can select multiple VLAN if you want and click add. So I'm going to proceed. And then if you go down to the matrix, you can see that by default, the traffic is blocked in between and even inside this VLAN. So trust plus plus toward trust plus plus, and you can see is block and block. So we might want to add a rule to allow communication between this device. So for instance, if you have your iPhone and you want to play music over AirPlay to a HomePod or whatever, you need to allow this traffic. So for that, we're gonna set up allow trust to trust. Source is trust plus plus, and we're gonna select allow. Return traffic, we need it, so that's good, that is done by default. And then that it, so we're gonna add policy. And now we have this allow rule, and we have this return rule, which is made by default as well, so that's kind of handy. And now we should be able to communicate between other devices within this VLAN. So we're gonna have a look to other clients, so we can see all things connected here, so we can sort them by network. So this one is IoT, for instance, or we can go with all network. So for instance, you can see I have not a lot of devices on this site, but let's say this KVM is there. It still has the old IP because I need to restart or force a new release, but that's okay. If you go in the data, you can see that it's a virtual network and it's connected to Dream Machine. This is the IP. You can also see the uptime of this device and a lot of different information there. And let's say we want to access this SSID plug from the trust device. So that is from a different network. So that's going to be blocked by default. So we're going to add a rule now to allow access to this plug from our trust network. So for that, we go back to security and we go into trust plus plus toward IoT. And then we're going to create a new rule. So create policy. And we're going to call it, let's say, trust toward or IoT. Well, basically, you can just select one IP if you want to, or the whole network. For this, we're going to select the IP, so the IP of the CD plug. And we're going to just add, actually allow first, and then add policy. So now we have access to this plug, which is on different VLAN from a trust VLAN. And you can see you have the plug, actually the policy there. And you can remove the policy if you want, like this. So it's very straightforward and intuitive. And this is basically the same for Wi-Fi. So let's say you want to delete it or pause it, you can go there and remove, and just gonna leave it for now, or you can pause it if you want to just pause for a while. But as you can see, the web interface is very easy to play with and to manage. I think that's why so many people love UniFi. But let's go back inside security because there is more stuff. So if you go to protection, we can create a single app blocking. So we can select a network, so all network, or just one device. So let's say IoT, for instance, or you can select a category, and then you have the list of stuff you can block there. Actually, I think we're going to start with a LAN, which is the VLAN 1. So if we go there, we can go back to default 1, and we can select different VLAN, by the way. So we're going to block file sharing, and we're going to block peer-to-peer, which is basically torrents and stuff like this. And we're going to block as well VPN and proxy. So we're going to name it something easy to understand. So block SMB, P2P, and VPNs. And that's cool because you can actually set up a schedule on this. So let's say you want to do that only for office hour and then no more at nighttime, you can do that. So in this case, we're just going to leave it always. And same, if you want to remove this rule, you can manage, click the rule and remove. That's it for this video. So I hope it was helpful for you guys. So please drop a like or comment if you like it, and see you on the next one. Bye, guys.